Morning, everyone, and welcome. Happy New Year to you all as well, by the way. Welcome to today's meeting of the Leicestershire Leicester Rutland Combined Fire Authority Local Pension Board. First item on the agenda is apologies.
So just from Graham and Sean Connor.
Okay, thank you very much. Minutes of the local pension board meeting held on the 10th of November, pages 5 to 8. You've all had the opportunity to go through. Is there any amendments, and everyone satisfied that they are a true record of that meeting? Thank you very much. 3, does anyone have any conflicts of interest? Nope, thank you very much. So we move straight on to the meat of the agenda now, which is the scheme manager's update, pages 9 to 48. So over to the manager.
Thank you, Chair. I will now give a brief introduction to my scheme manager's report. So you will, I'm sure, have read the scheme manager's report.
Could you speak into the microphone a bit more, please, Colin? That'd be great. Not you, it's me. Yeah.
So you will, I'm sure, have read my scheme manager's report, and you'll have noticed, no doubt, that I don't really have a great deal to update to this meeting. So nonetheless, I think it is important that we meet to discuss and note the issues that there are. So following the publication of the pension directions in December 2022, the tax risks of paying Category 2 retired members before October 2023 remain essentially unchanged, and you'll recall that really was the main topic of discussion at the previous meeting. And therefore, my recommendation not to offer early remedy payment remains unchanged. Work continues to collate all the necessary data for the various exercises. Skilled, knowledgeable staff, however, is a key concern, as I've noted in the report, particularly as October 2023 approaches, and I'm having sort of discussions with finance and HR colleagues about how we might address that. The finance team are looking in at bringing some additional staff at the moment to backfill staff that could potentially work on the pensions data, but I do think it's right that I flag to the board that this is a concern, and it's a concern across the sector. It's not just a high matter for Leicestershire, although the position does vary from authority to authority depending what records they hold and how accessible, etc. they are. So, in terms of governance matters, as noted in the report, there have been no breaches that need to be reported. As promised at the last meeting, I have reviewed the risk register. That's attached to the report. There were no significant updates, although I have expanded risk 11 regards the impact of the Sargent and McLeod judgments, because they are now becoming clearer. I've added the staff risk, staffing resources risk to it, for example. For the first time for this board, the West Yorkshire Pension Fund monthly report is included for information. So Helen, for the last couple of meetings or more, has brought a report as part of the agenda, but the West Yorkshire does actually produce a monthly client report to send to myself and colleagues. And I know Helen's referred to that in a couple of meetings, or they haven't had it in front of you. Having made some inquiries, that is routinely presented or shared with other local pension boards. So I've included it in this report, and I'll look to share those reports with you. I think is probably to share them via Gemma as they come in each month, and then perhaps put the latest one with each board. With each board agenda part. That will just help you to keep up to date, both with sort of matters generally, but also matters specific to Leicestershire from Helen's perspective as the administrator. I would also add, as an addition to the report, that Sean, as the regional pensions advisor, has been reviewing how Leicestershire, Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire handled a choice process for retained firefighters some years ago. This is when Leicestershire County Council were the pensions administrator before West Yorkshire became the administrator. Sean was going to go through this morning. Obviously he's ill, so he's had to send his apologies. but this piece of work has arisen from an RDRP in Derbyshire from a retained firefighter or ex-retained firefighter. And the emerging conclusion is that these personnel across the three authorities should now be given another opportunity to make a choice regards their retained pension going back to, I think, to 2006. So, and we also think that the vast majority could be included in the remedy process after October 2023. We don't think we don't think for the vast majority we need to jump and do anything immediately. Although there may be a few people where that's the case, as indeed there was one particular person in Derbyshire that triggered the query. So more details will be provided to the next meeting on that. But I thought as an emerging action, I'll just make you aware of it. So particularly in case the FBU are getting any queries or, as I say, word of what is likely to be the decision in Derbyshire gets out. But I think Sean is probably best placed to explain the technicalities of that, or we'll set it out in the report for the next meeting. That essentially arises due to the way that Leicestershire asked the questions, I think, back in 2014, which perhaps wasn't as clear as the way that some other most other pension administrators asked it. And that may have led to some of those members to decide not to do what actually they would have done had they had a clearer setting out of their choices. I think, Chair, that concludes my introduction. I'm happy to take any questions, and then I'm sure that may well merge in with Helen's presentation as the administrator. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Colin. The recommendation is to note the update, but also the opportunity to make comments on Colin's report. So I look round. Adam, over to you.
I think I think it's just more about the time frame, really. Obviously, we've received like regional advice on how to approach the Category 2 aspects of the the remedy, and that advice differs across the region, or certainly how that advice has been interpreted across the region is been implemented differently. So we have retired firefighters that are in receipt of pension benefits in areas of our region, and obviously we don't see that in Leicestershire currently. I think my question more is about, are we likely to see a change without any further direction from the Treasury or government if by October 23 there is nothing sort of set in place? Because my understanding is actually it's probably going to run on a little bit longer than October 23, probably for another 18 months. And I think morally we need to sort of consider what impact that's having on members that aren't in receipt of those payments. I think that's just kind of simply the question, really.
Simple question, but a good question. Colin, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm aware of different approaches in different areas. Nottinghamshire, I know, are Nottinghamshire, I think, are processing Category 2s because, of course, they were one of the authorities that was the subject to the original legal proceedings. So I think they feel they're in receipt of a clear legal instruction to do so, and they will be in particular difficulty not doing so. Derbyshire haven't yet processed Category 2s, but I believe are looking at what the cost, a bit more detail, what the cost risk would be, as indeed we are. I haven't heard that the proposed legislation for October 23 will be delayed, but as you correctly say, authorities do have 18 months then to take the necessary actions. I think what we're intending to do is to try and do the outstanding Category 2 people early on in that process, because clearly they are the people that are currently not having retired, but were part of the service and retired under the 2015 scheme. They are the people that are not getting the pension now that they would have got. So we'll certainly look to do those ones sooner rather than later. We have of course paying those that are currently retiring. So when this all kicked off a couple of years ago, we stopped tapering or transferring people from the 1992 scheme into the 2015 scheme. So they then stayed in the 92 scheme, they've retired in the 92 scheme, and they've got their full pension entitlement. So we're already talking about those members who had already, because of tapering or age or whatever, been transferred into the 2015 scheme and then retired. So I think, yes, so some areas I believe haven't done category 1 or category 2. We've at least done category 1 as soon as we could. Those that were caught before they retired or within a year of them retiring, it's a category 2 that's the problem. But yeah, certainly I'd want to get those done sooner rather than later, following October 23. Unless, of course, we get some assurance before that. I mean, it may be the government will publish some legislation or directions that give us certainty that actually the tax adjustments will be retrospective. We can go ahead and do them sooner.
Do you have any supplementary, because Callum wants to come in, or do you want to wait for Callum first? Yep. Okay, Callum.
Yeah, and I think just building on Colin's point, actually, the intent will always be to remedy and give people what they're entitled to once the legislation and mechanisms allow us to do that. So if someone is receiving an underpayment now and receives it, we will of course reimburse that full amount. I with Colin here, that I think we do it once the mechanisms are there, to do it once to give the individual certainty. There is no guarantee at the moment that the county that is paying out might not have to go back and recalculate and change and alter that. I think given that we are now getting towards October 2023, I'm very much firmly of the opinion of Colin of let's get it sorted with the right mechanisms, get it sorted once to give those members certainty for the future. It's easy for me to say this, and I recognise we're in a cost of living crisis. They won't lose out in the long run. They will get everything that they absolutely deserve. I and Colin remain committed to that. I'd much rather just do it with the right legislation and mechanisms in place to do it once and fix it forever. That's all I've got to say, Chair.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I'm content with the responses. Thank you, Chair.
thank you, Adam, and thank you, Callum. Any other questions at all? Nothing. Okay, so obviously we note the report, and everyone's had the opportunity to make comments. So we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is number 5, scheme administrator update, page 49 to 52. So over to you.
Yeah, I have no idea what that scheme administrator updates is, because as I said, I can't access it now. Can I just say those?
Can I just put in here, just for anyone who is watching this live or on the recorded version, we have been informed there is a worldwide problem with IT, and this is the reason you're having problems with your papers. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's worldwide or local, but I'm definitely having problems, and I was yesterday as well. So I assume I started the paper with the kind of more national meetings that I attend. So the communications group meeting and the technical group meeting. As Colin mentioned at the start of his report, mine is the same. There's not a lot of update. We for those meetings, they are very focused on Sargent, Remedy and Matthews. So the meetings just are, we spend all our time on those, looking at kind of trying to clarify issues that on a more technical basis, or looking at what communications we can put together to assist all FRAs so that the work to produce is just done once, but also a consistent message goes out. So within those meetings, we have produced some letters, and they were following the confirmation of who would be eligible for sergeants, and West Yorkshire Pension Fund sent those letters out early in December to the relevant Leicestershire Fire members. So the letters were people who, when we did this communication in April, got the letter that said they were out of scope for Remedy, but as a result of the changes, they've now got a letter that said you are in scope for Remedy, and letting them know that. And then the second letter was to the out of scope people. Now the out of scope people did get a letter earlier, but what this second one did, it confirmed that according to the information that's held on the pensions administration system, they're out of scope. But if they had pension benefits with one of the other public sector schemes involved in age discrimination before they came to the Fire Authority, then that period of employment may well put them in scope, and they needed to contact us to let us know about that. So across the 23 fire authorities, we have had quite a few people come back to us giving us service information, which we've been verifying. And as a result of that, they've then got the kind of flag to show that they're in scope for remedy. So it did turn out to be quite a useful exercise and did bring more people in scope. Scheme Advisory Board, that the last one was cancelled, and we just had the reconvened one on Monday, but unfortunately I was only able to attend the first hour. So I will give more of an update on that one at your next board meeting. The other meetings that we have are held by West Yorkshire Pension Fund, and they're quarterly meetings with all our fire clients. So we've had one of those as well. We had one in October, and we've had another one. I don't think there's a huge amount to update from. One of the main focuses though is on monthly postings and the returns that are being provided to West Yorkshire. We've had issues with quite a number of our FRAs due based on either late receipts or data not being in the format that we would hope, that then provides queries. So we are looking to put more information out to enable these things to be done accurate, to get to us timely and accurately. We mentioned at the meeting that we were happy to provide some training to explain exactly what we need and why, and perhaps to go through kind of the main type of queries that certain FRAs have. And also the return that comes in month 12, that provides us with the information we need to produce the annual benefit statements. So some additional data documents have already been sent, which do need to go to, because I know that you don't do your payroll internally. So what we have sent, you do need to make sure goes to your payroll provider so that they can make sure that what they are doing on your behalf complies. And also what we are looking to do is to produce a specific spreadsheet for month 12. It will be in exactly the same format, so it won't cause any problems kind of getting the data into it. But what it will have some inbuilt checks, so that these things can be looked at before the extract is returned to us. So in something very simple, we have two columns for kind of annual pay. Now, the lowest rank or role that is employed is a firefighter trainee, and their salary is just over 24,000. So there will be a check-in to make sure that the pay in the two relevant fields are not lower than the firefighter trainee pay. And if it is, we expect that it's amended before it comes through to us. Because one of the things we've noted, and I'm not saying this is Leicestershire specifically, but one of the things we've noted is that if somebody starts midway through the year, we don't get the pay reciprocated up to the 365-day equivalent. We'll just be supplied with the actual pay that they've earned since they joined. And obviously that is not correct for the purposes that we need. So we're hoping some of these things that we're going to pull in will get the queries highlighted at the earliest point, they'll get resolved, and we will get an extract that we can just process without too much problem. Because the other thing we want to do over the last couple of years, the fire annual benefit statements haven't started to be produced until August, and mainly due to the kind of problems with the returns. So, but we want to get things done so much sooner, because obviously immediately after the benefit statements go out, we are in remedy. We're pretty much on the 1st of October then. So the focus for us needs to be dealing with that and getting the remedial service statements set up and records up in the position that the statements will be produced. So I think we want to be able to start production in May this year for the 2023 ones. So we're trying to put things in place that will allow that to be done. So I think that was the main focus of our client meetings. And I think other than that, I've just given you some updates, and a lot I think it's duplicated from the monthly client reports, just details of the new director, the fact that we've got a new person in a post call, and it's our post name is Pension Fund Representative, and you'll find that they'll be referred to as a PFR. We've had these for local government employers for at least 15 years, but we've now created a specific fire post. So this person's role, they will not be dealing with members. Their role is specifically to assist employers, FRAs, staff at FRAs with fire pensions. So I think he's going to be kind of putting on some training sessions. I think he's going to be creating like training guides, leaflets, this kind of thing. So hopefully you'll start to hear from him in the next few weeks. And other than that, I think I just referred you to the relevant monthly client reports where we give some information on the disaster recovery test we did and the cyber security, just for board reassurance that we've got these things in place and we are on top of them and are testing and making sure that everything works as it should. So I believe that is pretty much what I put in. And that's all come out of my memory, that.
Well, thank you very much, Helen. I think your verbal, I'm just looking at the papers now, your verbal report is far longer than what we have here. So,
well, bit of detail, a bit of context.
So, most impressive. Yeah. Okay, well, the recommendation is to update, but obviously the opportunity for members to comment as well. No one's got any comments, Hannah, so that goes to show how thorough your report was. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we move on to the next item on the agenda. I'm thumbing back quickly. Is it the opportunity for the unions to make any comments? Over to you, Adam.
Not so much. Maybe for kind of like the broader pension board, really. There's been a few references to training, and I think which should be welcomed, certainly with changes later on in the year. But maybe just pick it up on the generic training for the pension board. If that's something we can perhaps look at, I think that'd be really useful.
Yeah.
So I don't know who kind of instigates that, but
I can't help you there, but
Sorry,
Colin's not. Yes, so I
yeah,
presume
additional
he'll
work.
have some influence on this one.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I think that's something I think will be really useful. There's a number of things I'm hoping to be able to progress over the next few months. I'm hoping to get a bit more time to sort of devote to fire pensions, and certainly I think some training for the board would be useful. Obviously, we've got local elections certainly in the city in May. I think see what the composition of the pension board is following May, and yes, that is something I would definitely like to do, but I can certainly start planning that now, because I think yeah, I'm conscious that Helen and Sean bring these reports three or four times a year, but it must be very difficult for you as board members to understand all of the necessary details. So yeah, perhaps some more informal training would be helpful. So yeah, we'll certainly do that.
Can I just butt in as well there? You are entitled to training from LGA, and you get one free training session per year. And they will do it via Teams or in person, whichever you prefer. And they cover an overview of the fire pension scheme, role of the local pension board and meeting TPR expectations, Sergeant Remedy, immediate detriment, Matthews and pensions dashboards. So I think if you are wanting to do that, they are very busy, as you know, so even if you want it after May, I suggest that you get yourself, you contact them and kind of get yourself booked in as soon as you can, because fitting it in obviously with your commitments and theirs will probably be a bit more difficult. but you've already paid for that as part of your levy payment. So I'd utilise it because they're the experts at the end of the day. So
Okay, thank you, Helen.
Yeah, to be fair, Graham and Adam mentioned this before, I remember. And so, Colin, if you could put it on your important list, that would be great.
I will
Yes,
do.
thanks.
Yeah,
Any other
do that.
comments at all, Anne?
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, okay. So we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is date of next meeting, 7th of June 2023 at 10 a.m. Do you know where we're meeting at all, Gemma?
That should be fine.
Back at the fire. Okay. So obviously end of business under item 8. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.